their faith, especially those even who put it as a law in a sovereign Muslim country. It is part of the so-called their human rights, as they call it. And from the standpoint of Muslims, their belief in Allah, their loyalty to the rule of Allah is not to be subjugated to decisions made by any groups of human beings, no matter how universal they claim their decisions might be, which, by the way, keep changing with the changing of time and place as well. The fifth issue, misunderstanding. Islamic Sharia is vengeful. It's not like modern laws that allows room whenever appropriate for forgiveness or even rehabilitation, just vengeance. Nothing is farther from truth. But to understand that, we must also refer to the division, the classical division of jurists of the kind of various punishments. First of all, there is the so-called at-ta'azir, or ta'zir, which means discretionary punishment, that there is no clear proof from the Quran and Hadith that there is a specific fixed punishment for that offense, but it is a matter that should be left to the judge or ruler to determine how much should the punishment be for that offense based on a number of considerations: the seriousness of that offense, the precedent and the record of the person who committed that, the circumstances surrounding it, a number of things. And that the ruler or judge may even choose to forgive if indeed there is, extenuating circumstances for that. But it is left for reasonable judgment based on the broader concept of justice. The second category is known as qisas, or retribution, especially in the case of inflicting injury or murder of someone else. And here again, we find the fallacy of the argument that there is no room for forgiveness in Islam. There is more room for forgiveness in Islamic Sharia than in Western laws in some cases. Let me ask you this question. If somebody is accused of murder in Canada or United States, and the family forgives that person, is the person still to be persecuted? Yes. It's a state crime. Under Islamic law, if they forgive with monetary compensation or without monetary compensation, the person may be forgiven. Which one provide even for rehabilitation and forgiveness? A person who committed murder, felt sorry about it, grieved about it, repented, approached the family, asked for their forgiveness, for return or no return. Which one even provide more forgiveness? This is the fallacy, that everything new is always superior to this old stuff. It goes back to 1400 years ago. The third category is known as hudud. It comes from had, limit. That means punishment that has a specific, fixed description, a fixed punishment for certain offenses that include things like adultery, accusing men or women in terms of their sexual purity, intoxication, theft, and similar issues. Once we have looked into this, you can easily realize that not only is there room for forgiveness in Islamic Sharia, there is room for rehabilitation, and the evidence is right there in the Quran. You know, in Surah Al-Ma'idah, إنما جزاء الذين يحاربون الله ورسوله ويسعون في الأرض فسادا أن يقتلوا إلى آخر الآية. It speaks about the punishment of those who fight against Allah and His Messenger and spread corruption on earth. But the ayah defines that. Like people, for example, who stand on the roads, high roads, kill people, rob them, and so on. And that's why you find that the Quran has given variety of punishment, from killing them, from crucifying them, cutting their limbs, sending them in exile. There are a variety of punishment, apparently, depending on the degree of offense they have committed. These are crimes. Again, under Western laws, if a person is caught even 20, 30 years after that, even after he or she stopped, does that get him off the hook? No. So long as the crime has been committed, there is evidence for it, repent or no repent, you have to be caught. But you know what the Quran says by way of exception? And that's an amazing concept of rehabilitation. إِلَّا الَّذِينَ تَابُوا مِنْ قَبْلِ أَن تَقْدِرُوا عَلَيْهِمْ فَاعْلَمُوا أَنَّ اللَّهَ غَفُورٌ رَحِيمٌ. Except for those who repent before you catch them, then you should know that Allah is most forgiving, most merciful. Isn't that an invitation for rehabilitation? Isn't that a positive way rather than vengeful way? If the concept in Islamic Sharia was vengeance, then they have to pay for their crimes regardless. But look at the philosophy of the depth of purpose behind it. If I have committed already as a highway robber several murders, one murder, and I know that once I get caught, that's it. What difference does it make to me to change my attitude even if I feel bad about it? If I kill 10 more, still it would be the same punishment. So there is inducement to continue on the wrong path. But if I know, all right, if I get caught, I might be executed because I murdered some people. But if I repent and turn myself to the authorities, I might be forgiven or getting lesser punishment. That's rehabilitation, isn't it? Encouragement of people trying to purify society from crime rather than just punish when the crime is committed. The sixth issue, the most common one. Sharia punishments are brutal, severe, strict, and in some cases they use even a very offensive term, barbaric. You must have seen that term in the papers. There are 5 basic points, but the 5th one would expand to 12. First question. Who has the right to determine or classify a punishment as brutal, severe, strict, inhuman, uncivilized, or barbaric, whatever term is used? Is there even full agreement, even in the Western society, about those definitions? Has it been settled yet? I have already given an example earlier, capital punishment. The debate still rages on. So who has the right to come and say, all right, I think that particular punishment is okay, is human, acceptable. This one is brutal, this is super brutal, this is barbaric. Who has that authority? And by what authority, what criteria are to be used except arousing of emotion? This is gruesome, you know. Secondly, let's ask an honest question to honest people, Muslims or non-Muslims. What were the results of leniency in implementation of criminal codes in the Western societies? What is happening? In the name of avoiding brutality, greater brutality has been inflicted on those societies, to the point that in some places people cannot even leave home after a certain period of time or go in certain areas without the fear of some criminal activity. Again, we're not talking about the corrupt social structure that might give rise and induce or push people to the brink of the commission. I'm just talking about the leniency that has taken place in dealing with severe crimes like this. A third question. Who can tell me as to which one is more brutal? Somebody committing an act for which he gets 80 lashes, or someone who is put in a cage known as prison or jail for 15 years, becoming worse, learning more crime from hardcore criminal. Which one is more humane? Which one is more gruesome? And who can say for sure that one is better than the other? Number 4. By what right does any person, when we talk about the right of the criminal and the due process, fine, due process is okay, but by what right can any person who commits aggression and disregard the basic rights of other people, right of life, honor, property, or whatnot, to say, no, you cannot punish me, you should respect my human dignity and my human rights? If I did not respect the human rights and dignity of others, I have already forsaken my rights to demand that. I'm not saying to kill the person a slow death or to cut them into pieces or torture or mutilate them. Obviously, that's forbidden in Islamic Sharia. But basically, the point is this. If I did not fulfill my duty and respect the rights of others and I aggress against, I cannot say it's a matter of human rights.